I've told you it's something to feel embarrassed about, something that makes you weaker, something only for younger men. But what if Dr. Harold Grant told you that self-pleasure, yes, even frequently, even every single day, could be one of the most powerful things you can do to take care of your prostate, keep your mind sharp, and even stay vital well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond? I'm Dr. Harold Grant. I've dedicated over 30 years to helping men like you navigate the second half of life, especially when it comes to closeness, stamina, and those unspoken worries we keep to ourselves. I've helped countless men dealing with prostate issues, poor blood flow, and that frustrating feeling of slowing down. And one thing I keep seeing is this: nobody has ever told them the truth about their own body. Because here's what the latest science is showing. Release isn't just about pleasure. It's a biological process that has a real impact on your health. But how often is too much? Does that study about ejaculating 21 times a month for prostate health really hold up? Or is it just a lot of noise? In this video, you'll learn about the real effects of regular release on your prostate, your mood, your hormones, and your circulation. We'll clear up some common misconceptions, look at some important new research, and most importantly, I'll show you how to listen to your body and take charge of your health. And in just a moment, I'll explain exactly what happens to your prostate when you find the right balance, and what to avoid if you want to stay strong, sharp, and sexually active. Before we get started, if you're a man over 60 who cares about his prostate, his energy, and his long-term well-being, be sure to click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. I share real, science-backed advice just for you. And if you find this information helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 so I know how to make the next video even better. So, let's begin with something most men never learned: the real biological purpose of release as we get older. Because it's not just about desire or satisfaction. It's about how your body takes care of itself, gets rid of toxins, and keeps your prostate, circulation, and hormones in harmony. Once you truly understand what's happening inside your body each time you release, everything else we're talking about will start to make a lot more sense. 1. Let's talk about the truth about release and the aging male body. When I first began my practice, I noticed something interesting. Many of my older male patients would come in worried about their prostate, their energy, their sex drive, but they would hesitate to talk about release. And when they finally did, it was often in a hushed voice, with a mix of shame and confusion in their eyes. They weren't sure if they were doing something harmful or if it was even necessary anymore. But here's the truth, and I want every man over 60 to hear it. Release isn't a bad habit or something only for young people. It's a crucial, natural process your body is designed to do. Even as we age, blood flow to the pelvic area decreases. Testosterone levels decline, and inflammation becomes more common. These changes directly impact the prostate, which can get bigger, become irritated, or simply not work as well. What most men don't realize is that regular release can actually help counteract these problems. It boosts circulation, relieves pressure in the prostate, and may even help eliminate inflammatory substances. Think of it like water flowing through a pipe. If the water stops flowing for too long, things get stagnant. In addition to that, release triggers the release of powerful chemicals in the brain and body, like dopamine, oxytocin, and nitric oxide, which can reduce stress, promote better sleep, and support heart health. It's not just about sexual satisfaction. It's about keeping your internal systems running smoothly, just like you'd tune up a car that's driven hundreds of thousands of miles. And yet, despite all of this, there's still one number that everyone focuses on: 21 times a month. Where did that number come from? And is there really a link between how often you release and your risk of prostate cancer? What I'm about to tell you might surprise you and even change how you think about your own body. 2. Let's talk about that 21 times per month study. I still remember the first time I saw that number in a medical journal. 21 times a month. It almost sounded like a joke. I mean, who's counting? But the data was real. A group of researchers at Harvard followed over 31,000 men for almost 2 decades, studying their health, habits, and risk factors. One of the most interesting things they found was that men who released at least 21 times a month had a significantly lower risk, around 33%, of developing prostate cancer compared to men who released only 4 to 7 times a month. Now, I'm not telling you to get out your calendar or turn this into a competition. That's not what this is about. What that study shows us is that regular release seems to play a protective role in prostate health. It might help clear the ducts, reduce inflammation, and prevent the buildup of harmful substances in the gland. And more than anything, it confirms what I've seen in my own practice. The men who stay connected to their sexual health, in whatever way that looks for them, often say they feel better overall, more relaxed, more focused, more alive. I've had patients who were skeptical at first, men who hadn't even thought about sex or release in years. But once they allowed themselves to reconnect with that part of their body, something changed. Their confidence came back. They slept better. They felt more in control. And sometimes even their lab results improved. Still, I know what you might be thinking. Is more always better? Can frequent release ever be harmful or even counterproductive? It's a valid question, and one we need to address clearly, because while the benefits are real, there's another side to this, and understanding it could save you from feeling drained, unclear, or worse. Let's explore that next. 3. Let's discuss the emotional weight of shame and silence. One of the hardest things I've witnessed as a doctor isn't the illness itself, it's the silence that surrounds it. I can't tell you how many men over 60 have come to my office quietly struggling with feelings of shame. They'll talk about their cholesterol, their knees, even their memory. But when it comes to sex, they hesitate, look down, change the subject. Some of them haven't been intimate in years, not because they don't want to be, but because somewhere along the way they were told it wasn't appropriate anymore, that their desires were wrong, that self-pleasure was childish or selfish or sinful. These beliefs don't just disappear over time. They become ingrained in the body. They create tension, guilt, and even fear around something that was once natural and healthy. I remember one man, 72 years old, a retired firefighter, who told me he felt embarrassed to even ask if it was okay to self-pleasure. He'd been married, lost his wife, and now found himself alone, still feeling the need for release, for touch, for connection. He thought something was wrong with him. But when we talked openly and I assured him there was nothing wrong at all, you could see the weight lift off his shoulders. His body relaxed, his voice changed. This shame isn't just emotional. It creates real physical stress. It raises cortisol levels. It restricts blood flow. It affects sleep and mood. And worst of all, it prevents men from experiencing the very thing that could help them heal. But healing isn't just about giving yourself permission. It's about knowing how to care for your body intentionally. Because yes, there is a line. Too much of a good thing, done the wrong way, can leave you feeling more depleted than refreshed. And understanding that line is exactly what we'll discuss next. 4. So, can you do too much? It's a valid question, and one I hear often, usually asked with a nervous laugh or a somewhat joking tone, like someone testing the waters to see if it's okay to be honest. Doc, am I doing this too much? And my answer, like so many things in medicine, is, it depends. Release itself isn't harmful. In fact, as we've already discussed, it can be quite beneficial. But when it becomes compulsive, when it's used as a way to escape or avoid uncomfortable feelings, or when it starts to replace real connection and awareness, that's when problems can arise. Some men tell me they feel tired afterward, foggy, emotionally empty. Others say they're chasing a release that doesn't quite satisfy them. It's like eating fast food when what you really need is a nourishing meal. The act itself isn't bad, but the way it's done and how often can either restore your energy or deplete it. It's not just about how much you do it. It's about how mindfully you do it. Are you present with your body? Are you paying attention to your energy levels? Are you giving yourself time to rest, to recover, to feel something deeper than just a quick fix? Over time, I've found that men who learn to approach release not just as a release, but as a form of self-care, begin to change. They sleep better. Their minds become calmer. Their confidence returns, and they feel more in tune with what their body truly needs, not just sexually, but emotionally and physically. But this brings up a question I get asked all the time, especially from men over 60. So, Doc, how often should I be doing this? That's where it gets personal, and that's exactly what we'll discuss next. 5. How often should men over 60 release? This is one of the most common questions I get from my patients, and I understand why. At a certain point in life, your relationship with your body changes. You're not operating at the same pace you did in your 20s or even your 40s. Energy feels different. Desire comes and goes. And somewhere along the line, many men start wondering what's normal now. What's healthy? How much is too much or too little? The truth is, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. Every man is different. Some feel best releasing every couple of days. Others are fine with once a week. But in my experience, both from my clinical work and from what men tell me, a good range for most men over 60 tends to be somewhere between 2 to 4 times a week. That's enough to support prostate health, reduce stress, keep hormones circulating, and maintain blood flow without leaving you feeling drained or disconnected. What's even more important than frequency is rhythm. Just like sleep, digestion, or exercise, your body benefits from consistency. That doesn't mean you need to stick to a rigid schedule, but it does mean paying attention to your body's signals. If you're feeling irritable, tense, or restless, a gentle release might calm your system. If you're feeling low on energy or foggy, it might be time to take a break and recharge before jumping back in. One of my patients, Mark, who's 67, told me he started keeping track of how he felt after each release, not obsessively, just noting his energy, sleep, and mood. Within a few weeks, he found his own rhythm, and the difference was like night and day. His wife even noticed. Sometimes the answer isn't more or less, it's just what's right for you. But here's where things get even more interesting. Because when a man finds that rhythm, something starts to change, not just in the bedroom, but throughout his entire body. And what happens inside the prostate during this time is something most men have never been told. Let's take a look. 6. What happens to your prostate when you get this right? When a man finds the right rhythm, not just how often he releases, but how he approaches it, something remarkable starts to happen inside his body. And I've seen it firsthand. Men in their late 60s and 70s who came to me worried about frequent urination, weak flow, or that nagging pressure in their lower abdomen suddenly started reporting relief. Not overnight, but gradually, quietly, their symptoms started to improve. You see, the prostate is a living gland, and like any part of the body, it responds to being used. Gentle, regular release helps reduce congestion. It helps flush out fluids, lower inflammation, and improve circulation to an area that's often neglected. It's like a muscle. If it stays inactive for too long, it gets stiff. It becomes reactive. It swells. But when it's cared for consistently, it softens. It works better. And for many men, that means fewer late-night bathroom trips, less urgency, and more confidence in their daily lives. I'm thinking of a patient named Harold. He was 73, had tried every supplement on the market, and still couldn't sleep more than 3 hours without waking up to pee. After a few months of practicing a healthy release routine, along with breathing exercises and some dietary changes, he looked at me and said, "Doc, it's like someone gave me back my nights." That moment stuck with me because it wasn't just about his prostate. It was about taking back his quality of life. When you treat your sexual health as part of your overall health, everything changes, not just how you function, but how you feel. And yet, there's one thing still holding many men back, a force more powerful than biology or habit, something that has shaped the way we see ourselves for generations. Let's finally talk about it. 7. Cultural myths that keep men silent. Some of the deepest damage I've seen to men's health doesn't come from disease. It comes from silence, from the myths we grew up believing, from the unspoken rules that shaped how we saw ourselves as men. Rules like real men don't talk about their feelings, or sex is only for the young, or if you're over 60, you should just accept slowing down. These messages seep into the background of our lives. We don't always hear them directly, but we carry them in the way we minimize our needs, in the way we avoid talking about pleasure, in the way we convince ourselves that we're being selfish if we focus on our own health and happiness. And the truth is, it's taken a toll. I've met strong, capable men who built businesses, raised families, served their communities, and yet they feel ashamed to admit they miss intimacy, or that they still have desires, or that they want to understand their bodies instead of ignoring them. But here's what I want you to hear today. There is nothing weak about taking care of yourself. There is nothing shameful about wanting to feel connected, vital, and alive at any age. The more openly we talk about these things, the more power we reclaim, because sexual health isn't separate from your overall well-being. It's deeply connected to your confidence, your circulation, your sleep, even how long you live. We've been taught to hide this part of ourselves. But what if instead we started seeing it as a key to staying strong, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually? Because now that you've heard the truth, the science, the stories, the changes that are possible, the real question becomes, how do you put this into practice? And how do you make sure your next chapter is your best one yet? Let's talk about that now. 8. In conclusion, if there's one thing I hope you remember from this conversation, it's that your body is still on your side, not working against you. You've heard the science. Regular release supports prostate health, reduces inflammation, improves circulation, and may even lower your risk of prostate cancer. But beyond the data, what really matters is how you feel. Whether it's rediscovering intimacy, reclaiming your energy, or just feeling comfortable in your own skin again, this is about more than biology. It's about living life to the fullest. You're not broken. You're not too old. And you're not alone. The shame, the myths, the silence, they've held too many men back for too long. But now you know better. You know that healthy sexual expression isn't something to be hidden or feared. It's something to be valued, cared for, and understood. In my 30 years of working with men, I've seen this simple shift from silence to awareness change lives. Sleep improves, confidence returns, even relationships start to get better. And it all starts with a single question. Are you ready to treat this part of your health with the same care you give to your heart, your joints, or your mind? If so, Dr. Harold Grant will be here for you to guide you, support you, and walk this journey with you, one honest step at a time.